Oh, Canada. Oh, sorry, wrong country. Ugh. Well, folks, it's today. We are 72 hours away from Money in the Bank from Toronto. The card's ready. I got my predictions. But for the first time in a long time, your boy isn't alone. Hello again, everyone. Happy July. Happy 4th of July week to all of you out there, and welcome back to Falls Count Anywhere here on the Rhode Island Broadcasting Network. Eric Dunn here, back at home again in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. As I mentioned, happy 4th to everyone out there. I'm so sorry. I do not sing on Canada. I never have. I never will. But because Money in the Bank's in Toronto, I said, what the hell? Why not? And before I go any further, the anticipation and the suspense is over. My surprise guest, he is the president and I believe the founder of Wrestling Society Network. His name is Herman Cade, but we all know him, or at least WSN knows him, as Professor Bear. My friend, how are you? Was that a good intro?
Man, that was a great intro. Man, made me feel important for a second there.
Okay, hang on, man. I have to make sure that I tell you, you have been the first one to actually join me for a show next to me in arguably, I would say maybe a little bit over 9 months. So, and trust me, I am very privileged and happy to have someone of your caliber and have you join me. So thank you once again for taking the time to be here. I appreciate you for this.
Man, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. And man, I've been looking forward to this all day long.
So, however, I feel like I might have insulted you by accident. I said president, but I got that wrong. You're co-president.
Yeah, well, I was president, and then we made a change and got a co-president with me, and I love it. The guy is such a great man, and his name is Donovan, and this has been tremendous. This has just amped us even further than what we were doing, and we have
Right.
so many big plans with Donovan. He's been a game changer.
And gotcha. So, just as a kind of like a funny side note, you're actually the first one I've had, besides the three other co-hosts I told you about before we went on air, that actually doesn't have any mic delay or connection problems. So, thank you for having a good connection.
Thank you. No problem.
Because there's nothing worse than having a mic delay that you can actually see. And I'm like, Ron, I'm asking him, I'm like, man, what the hell do we do? And he's just like, just go with it. Who cares? We're live. We can't do anything about it. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And I give him like this big scowl he could see behind the scenes. I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm like pissed off, but I'm trying to hide it. I'm like, yeah, nope, not working. But good sir, I definitely am looking forward to this one. As I mentioned to you before air, I mentioned to you guys on air too that I have no time limit whatsoever. I don't care if I'm on air for an hour. I doubt we'll be here for an hour, but my man, I'm in no rush having you here because this is the first guest I've had in a long time, and I'm excited. Actually, no, you know what? Screw that. This is the first guest I've had, period. So you know what? This is a very special moment for me and for Ron, for all of us at Falls Count Anywhere, and we're very happy to have you here. And before we go into my good friend over here, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, Money in the Bank is now 72 hours away in Toronto. It's the last pay-per-view that is close to the U.S. because SummerSlam will be in about less than 4.5 weeks from Cleveland Browns Stadium, and that already is getting some attention right now. And before we go into that, I'm going to make sure you guys are aware this episode and all episodes of me, really, is live every Wednesday at 5 right here on YouTube, X, Facebook, and on Twitch. Please also follow us on our Facebook and our YouTube channels at Rhode Island Broadcasting. Buy me a coffee is also something you can follow us at too, at RI Broadcasting. Red Circle, Amazon, Google, Spotify, TuneIn, and Podbean Podcast is where you'll be able to find me after the show is ended. I will also state for you guys as well that Patreon is also what we started on as well for at Rhode Island Broadcasting here. Um, and on top of that, this broadcast of False Count Anywhere is the exclusive property of Erik Dunn Productions, Ron Rigo, and Rhode Island Broadcasting for the use of our audience, but any publication, reuse, or redistribution by anyone is not prohibited. It is given express consent to be shared and is greatly appreciated. Okay, that was a mouthful. Now, now that I've got all my crap done, let's get into why a lot of you are here for, besides me doing Money in the Bank. It is this gentleman to my, well, yes, to my screen right. I almost said to my left like a Muppet. Sorry. Um, but, Professor, thank you so much again. And I would love it if you could please tell us more about you and where we can also find you as well.
Well, you can find me. We have a Facebook page, and it's the Wrestling Society Network. And we encourage everyone, no matter if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a promoter, if you're a wrestler, please join our page and promote yourself. We do not care where you wrestle, the more we love it. We want self-promotion. We want promotions, the smallest to the largest, to promote yourself. It gives true wrestling fans options and learn about promotions that they may have not known about and may be very close to.
Sure, sure. So that is where we could find you, but uh, I don't know if I should read there or not, but it said, are you going to air this show on your app?
Well, we would definitely get into it because I got a lot to announce and talk about. So I'm going to save that question to later.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we'll save that for off air.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I think I would probably get shut down if I asked you, hey, listen, are you gonna do it if you get a royalty? We are trying to be, but yeah, okay, okay. Anyway, that was a small Shark Tank moment. Let's get off that crap now. Um, Sir, I'll tell you right now, the fact that making you smile that much is actually a good thing,
Oh,
because
yeah.
if I was making it unhappy, I find myself alone again. I just see it just completely just go blank. I just be like, what happened? I see a ghost. So anyway, so sir, that's where everyone can find you. But I would love it if you could please give us a little bit of your background and your story of how you created WSN and where you are now.
Okay. Well, it's actually not my creation. It's the CEO, Brady Owens. This is his vision,
Sure.
and he's been very nice and to bring me on and to let me brainstorm with him about a lot of things and our team members. So every interview I ever do, I let it be known that this is Brady Owens' baby. I'm just blessed to put my hands in it and to enhance it just a tad bit. But uh, Brady started this. I think I always say 2017, and he tried. He had a vision, and he tried to do things, but he quickly realized that he couldn't do it on his own. So he fell back a little bit, and around, I believe it was 2021, he was like, okay, I'm gonna do this again, but I need a team. I need a
Sure.
quality team to help me do this. So he
Right.
put out a post all over Facebook, and I just so happened to see it, and I was like, maybe I could do it. Then I thought to myself, nah. So I was
Nah.
telling my, yeah, just yeah. So I was telling my girlfriend, at the time. Now she's my wife. I was telling her about it. She was like,
Congratulations.
"Thank you, thank you." And she's like, "Yeah, you should do that. You would debate anybody." I'm like, "Man, who want to hear me talk? Who want to hear you? Who wants to hear me talk about wrestling?" She's like, "Baby, you know, if God came down Himself, you would say, 'Lord, I mean no disrespect, but you're wrong.' Or have you thought about this?" You would debate God. So I thought about it for a little while.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I was like, well, yeah, she's not lying. I probably would. And so I sent in the video, and less than an hour, Brady hits me up. We talk.
Wow.
And before I know it, I'm one of the original members of the Wrestling Society podcast. So we go on, we're gelling, starting
Yep.
off, we're getting a little, getting the audience behind us, and
Right.
okay. Then we got to talking, and Brady had a great idea. He's seen different wrestling games and stuff. He's like, "Hey, what would you do if you had your own promotion?" I'm like, hmm. I was like, man. So me and our other partner, we both got to thinking about it. He's like, "You know what,
Right.
guys? We're gonna do a 2K promotion. What we're gonna do, we're gonna get fans to be a part of it. The wrestlers gonna be fans of our show." It's like, man, that's a great idea. So we started off with a big pay-per-view, and shockingly to all three of us, we had over 100 views. It's like, wow, okay. So we started, and slowly we started building, and our numbers started going up. And before we knew it, we were getting views from overseas. We're all just blown away by it. So we started digging in deeper, and before you know it, we were averaging anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 views. So we're blown away by
Wow.
it. So we continued and came up to our biggest show, and we looked around. We had 10,000 views. Just blew us away.
That's
So
fast.
so it's like, man, oh wow. So then again, Brady, as he always does, he's like, hey, I always wanted to have an app. So we can put our content, we can get other content creators put their stuff on it, give a big place where people can go and watch wrestling. So we started working towards that. And before you know it, we had the WSN app that's on
Yep.
Roku, it's on Amazon Fire Stick, it's on Apple TV, and I feel like I'm forgetting one. But anyway, um, so we started that. I think it was March when we finally released it, and man, our numbers it has been solid since we came out, growing. Well, of course, Brady, in his infinite wisdom, because Brady is the man,
Right. Right.
he's decided, hey guys, we're gonna do a website. I'm like, man, that's cool. We're gonna do a website, and we're not just gonna focus on the big three, the big. We're gonna do with independence wrestling. We're gonna do any type of wrestling.
Right.
We're gonna go. So coming up in a day and a half, we will be releasing that website. It will go live.
Wow, man,
And
that's amazing to hear.
one of the things that really I love about the website is, like you said, we have different podcasters that have gave us a chance to promote our things and stuff, and we want to give back to um, creators who have good, what we believe have good things to talk about, different things. So we have also created within that website. It's called the Podcast Corner, and you can go and check out different podcasters that we like, that we think is great, and it will not only show you that website, if you click on it, it directly takes you to their stuff.
Right.
You can listen, and hopefully you'll become a fan and just enjoy the different types of wrestling podcasts out there. So that was one of the big things that Brady really wanted to do as a way to give back.
So, Professor, so listen, with all that being said, I'll tell you right now, that was a lot to take in. And it, to me, is just inspiring to hear that. I mean, you start from the bottom, you grind, you work your way up, and you keep pushing. Bree needs to work out a deal with us. Ron, this will be off air, buddy. Let's say that for off air, okay? Because I got a feeling that this guy over here is not going to go anywhere after we get off air. So just give us some time, all right? Because he's starting to get a little bit. Honestly, Herman, he's getting a little antsy now. You know what I mean?
Hey, I
Hey,
understand.
but hey, listen. So listen. With all that being said, I never got the chance to ask you this. So if you don't mind me asking, you would talk about like views and subscribers and like numbers. If it's okay with me asking, where are your numbers currently at right now after how much of progress or how long of progress?
To be truthful, I'm not too locked into the numbers, and that when I get them, it comes from Brady.
Okay,
But,
understand.
but I can tell you this much, that our traffic has significantly gone up. We, well, let me backtrack.
Sure.
I am a numbers person. I love hearing numbers, seeing where we're at and where we could be.
Right.
But the one thing about all of this is that I'll be 51 next week.
Wow.
I never in my life thought I would have a chance to be in the wrestling industry. I've been a wrestling fan since I was born. My father, God rest his soul, he took me, my brothers and sisters to wrestling each week. We always watched wrestling in my house. On Saturdays, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. So
Oh,
I'm
so you are in the South right now.
yes, sir.
Oh,
I'm a
I love it.
Southern boy. So the one thing
Nothing
with
wrong with that.
one
Nothing wrong with that. Yes, sir. I love it.
so one thing that was constant in our house
Yes.
on Saturday in the 80s, on Saturday at 6:05, you better not make any noise. You better not be acting a fool because on TBS it was World Championship Wrestling. We
WCW.
Yep, it was the NWA back then.
Right.
And my father did not joke or play. When it was on, either you were quiet watching or you were out the house, but you dared not make noise or you would regret it.
Oh, I don't even want to picture how that could have been back in the 80s and 90s. Anyway, but hey, but Joe, man, hey, listen, everyone's got to start somewhere, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's funny with like my perspective, right? I'm 24 right now. I didn't really completely understand WWE until about maybe a decade ago, and I honestly had to go all the way back to the beginning of the Attitude Era. Like I had to go back into like the late '98. I honestly started. I think I started back when SmackDown began in August of '99, Like that was when I really had to like really understand what the World Wrestling Federation was about for WWF, and then when it became World Wrestling Entertainment for WWE, what was it? What was the business really like, and what was it? What's representing for us as fans? And you know, Herman, I said this before. I'll say it again. I will always get upset when people tell me, yeah, just because wrestling is predetermined and it can be scripted, don't you dare ever tell me that you can fake when a man has to go on the operating table to recover from an injury and get ran, and basically he has to be off and go ahead and take some time off. I don't care if you run. I've seen like someone gets like ran off TV because they got like a movie or something that's going on, like Miz or Rock or Cena or Orton. But no, 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 no. When people tell me it's fake, I say watch back a documentary series, WWE 24. When I first started watching that series, it showed Seth Rollins when he had his run as champion in 2015, tore his ACL, MCL, and his meniscus on an overseas tour in Ireland. And he was gone for 6 months and came back in May at Extreme Rules in New Jersey in the following year. And then Finn Balor separated his shoulder at SummerSlam in 16, didn't come back till the day after WrestleMania in 17. He had a torn labrum, dislocated his biceps tendon. He was out for 6 months. Like, this is a business where even the most training in the world can't ever, what's the word I'm trying to find here? It can't take away from having a little bad luck. You know what I mean? Like, one slip of the foot, one wrong move, and instant, your career changes or your career is over. Like, I hate it, man. Yeah.
The thing is, and like I said, being from the South, wrestling fans here were super dedicated because you could not tell us it was fake.
Right.
No matter what you bring up, it's fake. They're dancing, this. You have to be a real athlete to put your body on the line to do the things that these guys and girls do. And on top of that, as a kid, I'll tell you a quick funny story.
Please.
Me and my father and my brothers and sisters was going to this wrestling match, and we would go, I think every weekend or almost every other weekend to Chahaway Park, and the wrestling was there. Well, this particular time we were going in, and a wrestler saw my brother, and he stopped him. And he's like, "Hey, I need you to do something for me. I want you to hold this chain. And when I come out the ring, when I give you the signal, you're going to give it to me." My brother's 10 years older than me, so he was like, "Okay, no problem." So we sit, and luckily enough, we was at ringside, and the match was going on. The wrestler jumped out the ring. "Give me the chain." My brother gave him the chain. He got back in the ring and beat the off of that wrestler. Blood was everywhere. And guess what my brother got for that? The wrestler just signed his shirt, and that was it. But the point of the story is, for me, it's real. Again, yes, you have predetermined winners, but hell, boxing got predetermined winners. And most people don't know, but anyway.
Right.
You have to be an athlete, and you have to be a part of the craft.
Absolutely.
And to appreciate it.
I'll tell you right now, that was funny. That was funny on that part you just did. He grabbed the chain and he beat the out of him. I said, honestly, that is the best. That is the best way to kind of fill in the blank there that I've ever heard anyone else do. And hey, seriously, man, I know this is, even though this is a PG show. Yeah, well. Yeah, not here. Well, kind of here. But hey, man. But you know what? I'll agree with you on one thing. 'Cause, hey, seriously, man, I know this is, even though this is a PG show. Yeah, well. Yeah, not here. Well, kind of here. But hey, man. But you know what? I'll agree with you on one thing. 'Cause, hey, seriously, man, I know this is, even though this is a PG show. Yeah, well. Yeah, not here. But hey, man. But you know what? I'll agree with you on one thing. there was a former wrestler that was in WWE. I think his name was Billy Kidman, and there was an episode of WWE Confidential that was titled "Wrestling is Fake," and he goes, even if it looks like it's predetermined, if it looks like it hurt, I guarantee you it hurt. Because you can't, because honestly, people think that they were jumping off like a trampoline or something. No, man, they were jumping. They were hitting a mat that had like 2x4s and 2x12s and plywood underneath that thing. Like you can't tell me that you're gonna not feel pain. I mean, like honestly, like because like fans will say, "Oh, well, these guys know how to fall." I dare anyone to ever tell me that you learn how to fall on concrete. Like, how do you learn how to fall in wrestling? You don't learn how to fall. You train to make sure you fall right. That doesn't mean that you know how to fall. Because most people that go off a ladder, go off through a table, they don't know how to fall through a table. You have to learn on that. You have to train through that. You know what I mean? And you know, these guys take just a tremendous abuse on their bodies and just in all sometimes even the full blown wars that you know it really is a testament to how far the human being can go before it breaks. Like like you're not saying, Herman, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing how hard the human body can go until it actually burns out. Like, it's incredible when you look at WWE how far they've come and just seeing that. And like that's the biggest thing that I had to realize when I was a fan was, yeah, sometimes you can even see real injuries live. Now, granted, there has been scripted fake injuries before. That is true. But if you actually see live a real injury, it's horrifying.
I will tell you,
It's terrifying.
I'd tell you one that I challenge anybody to tell me it was fake.
Sure.
If you go and go on YouTube and search WCW Sid Vicious breaks his leg. Sid Vicious was in a four-way match with Road Warrior Animal, Scott Steiner, and I can't remember the other guy who was in the ring. But Sid Vicious was on the second turnbuckle, jumped off. And when I tell you he broke his leg bit backwards. It was the only thing I've seen more disgusting than that was when Joe Theismann got his leg broke by Lawrence Taylor. When he got his leg broke, it was more disgusting than that. And on top of it, this was a pay-per-view. The next night on Nitro, they showed that clip 8 to 9 different times with 5 different angles. I dare anybody to sit there with a legitimate argument,
right?
Tell me that was fake, that they faked that.
Like, brother, I will tell you this right now too, to kind of like wrap up that subject about it. It, like, everybody knows UFC is real, and when you see injuries like that, like a leg break or a broken ankle, you'll actually see that. Or when someone tears their ACL, their MCL, their meniscus, the fight will be stopped. WWE, same thing on certain situations. It's something you would never wish would happen to you or someone that you love. Like, it is a shame when that happens, but it just goes to show all the training in the world can't equate to just one mistake, because you never know. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And so, with that being said, and I know that we just went 30 minutes straight with all of this, and trust me, it's been a while since I've had that, so that was really great to have. And I would love your input on truly what the other co-main event is for this program for this week. So, Money in the Bank. We are less than 3 days away from it going live on Peacock in Toronto. The card I have right here, I would love to go over through each match with you. So something I do with FCA is based on the pay-per-view or the premium live event now, PLE. I would give each of the match. I would give my predictions through it. But since I have you with me now, I figured we could just throw it back to each other and we can go from there.
Sounds good.
Because your input with this would be very helpful. So looking at the card right now and looking at everything here, and on top of that, I'm gonna save the last one of them at the end because there is something about that is also could be related to a return that I'm gonna save too. So I think that could be very interesting for both of us here. So with that being said, for the Intercontinental title, Sami Zayn is going to retain. No, let me fix that. Sorry. That was awful. Hang on. Sami Zayn is going to defend his Intercontinental title against the son of the Steiner brother, the son of Scott Steiner, Braun
Great,
Breaker.
actually.
Yep. So, the biggest thing I know about Braun is he was one of the longest reigning NXT champions in the history of it in WWE. He's feared as one of the most dangerous human beings in the history of NXT. And I feel like this could go one of two ways, but I'm hoping Sammy's going to retain. I mean, if you're going to have him beat Chad Gable in Montreal in a rematch the day after WrestleMania, that Raw, why would you make him lose in his own home country in Toronto?
I have to agree with you that I think Sammy will retain. I think it's gonna lead to them having a rematch at SummerSlam. Um, Braun is so super over right now,
Yeah.
but I still don't think you take the title off. It's still too early, and it would make a great moment for Braun to win it at SummerSlam.
That's something that I look at too, Herman, with Braun is he's just on the main roster right now, and he's still trying to figure it out. But however, with this comment, when faces win a match, that means heels retain at least one. I mean, that is true in a way. But I think that when I look at Sammy, this is his first single title run in WWE. I don't think there's any way in hell Triple H and Nick Khan is going to have, with creative control, take Sammy off of this run, knowing this is his first one. He's waited a long time for this one too. I think this is going to be extended for a while, but I do see him dropping this eventually. I just don't think Braun is it yet. I think he's got some ways still.
Yeah. Well, and not to correct you, but this is Sammy's third Intercontinental reign.
Oh yeah, good point. Sorry about that. Yeah, true.
And I think Braun, I think it's just such a build, and Braun is. I don't think they expected Braun to get this hot,
Yeah,
and it's more credible in my thought, it's more credible for Sammy to win, even if it's a count out or a disqualification. It's better to build that up because you're looking at Sammy, the guy who beat Gunther, who stopped the longest reign. You just don't want him to go out like in a dud match.
yeah,
So
squash.
I think that's why you would do it at SummerSlam. And you could get Braun even better over in SummerSlam to squash Sammy there. It's a bigger pay-per-view. Like you said, it's in his home country. So I just think you wait. SummerSlam is the moment to make Braun that unstoppable. That's the way I feel about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, and the biggest thing that I look at this too, Herman, with Sammy is you're right. This is his third reign as IC champion, but this is, in my eyes, the best version of Sammy we've seen throughout his entire career. And seeing Sammy at this level, I mean, you got to feel not only happy for him, but a lot of fans in the WWE universe is still behind him, regardless of what's going on with Braun. But that's the biggest thing I thought of Herman with it. I think Sammy's going to win, but I think he's going to win by disqualification because don't forget, Braun's been pissing off a couple people, as in um, Louis Kaiser and the Celtic Warriors Sheamus. I think there's a strong chance on Saturday one of those two is going to get involved and Sammy will win by DQ.
I agree with you.
Because Braun, yeah.
And one other thing, and it may spoil what's going to happen with another match, but let's just be real. Gunther will be the new world heavyweight champion at SummerSlam, and you got to have legitimate people for him to defend against. And Sammy beat him for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect. So,
Professor, that being said, now let's go into the next one. Because you know what? That was a great leeway, so we're going to go right into it now. Seth Rollins and Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship with this stipulation in place. If Seth wins, Damian is gone from the Judgment Day. If Damian wins, Seth can no longer challenge him for the world title as long as Priest is the title holder. Here's my situation with this. If you want money at SummerSlam, Seth and Gunther is a hell of a match. However, it wouldn't make sense if you put the title on Gunther just for Seth to have it for a month. It doesn't make sense to me. The way I look at it is this. If Seth wins on Saturday, he will win. He's going to win at SummerSlam. The only way Gunther will become World Heavyweight Champion is if he gets cashed on. Because Herman, here's my problem. Seth Rollins, he is, in my eyes, the workhorse of WWE. This is a guy that has been carrying this company when so many people wanted Roman out as WWE champion and gone from the company due to the hostage he was keeping it under, and then you had Rocket involved back in the early winter. However, Seth, in my eyes, draws a big money for this company, and no one hates this guy. Like, Herman, everyone loves Seth. I'm one of them. I will love Seth. I love him knowing the face he is and knowing how good he is right now. If you watched Raw that was in Boston Monday night, everybody was behind Seth, and everyone still is. Even on X, everyone's behind Seth in the WWE Universe. There's no way he would lose to Priest on Saturday. But however, there is a concern with that. And this is going to lead to this situation. I think Seth is going to win. But if Seth does win, I do not want him to be cashed on. If Damian wins and retains the World Heavyweight title, I'll tell you right now, if Drew McIntyre is Mr. Money in the Bank, he will become World Heavyweight Champion. And the match that everyone would really want to see is Drew and Gunther. That's the main event right there, Professor, in my eyes.
Everything you said, I like is perfect. My thoughts on it is the match for me. What do we get from Damian getting outed from the Judgment Day?
Right.
You're taking away a storyline that they've been building for quite a while. Back when
Edge.
No, I was thinking actually when oh my goodness, I can't even think his name. My mind went blank. But when his partner was trying to get the world title off of Seth, Finn, excuse me.
Yeah,
when Finn was trying to get the title, and him and Priest had a little beef. You could feel it, you could see it, but once they won the tag titles, it went away. Now it's starting to bubble back up to the surface. And when Priest said the comment of I don't need the Judgment Day, the Judgment Day needed me, that really set stuff in motion. And I love the way he explained it. He's like, I don't need y'all. Just like when Mommy was the world champion, she didn't need us. We needed her. And the explanation was so great. But there are so many different elements going on.
Yeah.
And on top of that, what credible people have Damian defended the title against?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, man. I don't think there's anyone else for Damian, but I will say, however, and I'm going to tell you this right now, as much as I want Seth to be champion, I do not want him cashed on. So this is what I'll say. If there's no cash in, Seth's World Heavyweight Champion. If there is going to be a cash in based on who wins Money in the Bank, if Damian wins, Drew will be Mr. Money in the Bank. He'll cash in on Damian and set the stage for him and Gunter at SummerSlam. That makes sense to me. But however, speaking of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, one of these two, and here's the thing, Herman, I'm picking two. Because in my eyes, these two should have been getting the push for a while now. It's been more than a year almost. I would love it to be either the megastar LA Knight or main event Jey Uso. One of these two, in my eyes, deserves to be Mr. Money in the Bank and deserves to be World Heavyweight Champion at some point over the next year.
Well, let me start with the easiest one, and that is Jey Uso. Jey is not winning for this simple fact. The bloodline, he is going to get back with his brother and Roman, and they're going to feud against the new bloodline. That I'm not a gambler, but I would be willing to bet money on that one. With LA Knight, yeah, he's not ready for the world title, but I definitely see him winning the U.S. title from definitely, because they've already teased it and set it up. LA Knight will be the U.S. champion,
Professor,
and it will get that title off of.
Professor, look at this comment right here. It makes sense. Damian wins and LA takes it.
No. Well, and see, that's the one thing you got to realize.
He's like, no. He's like, no.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because it's brand centric. If LA wins, he gets a shot against Cody.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Honestly, I think based on whoever wins this, Jey will go after the World Heavyweight title if he wins. If LA wins, he'll go after Cody for the WWE title. But you know what? I think with everything lined up, Jey or LA Knight, I would want to have win, but I think the obvious one is going to be Drew. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
The best thing about it, and the one thing that I hadn't heard you mention, and yes, he may win, but there's no way in the world that CM Punk is going to let him cash in. They are SummerSlam. They are SummerSlam bound. They are, because the only thing they're waiting on is Punk to be cleared, and Punk is almost cleared. That's why
they're saying right now that Punk's cleared for SummerSlam.
Exactly, and that's why they did the angle where Drew got even with him. Yeah. And now Drew thinks, and everybody's like, "Oh, Drew," and he may win it, but he will not get it. He will not cash it in because Punk won't allow it until they have their match. Gunther is going to steamroll Priest, and it gives credibility to Priest that he's going to beat Seth. And look at it this way too. He said he can't challenge for the world title until Priest loses 4 weeks. then that stipulation is gone.
True. That's a good point, man. Yeah, I forgot about Punk on that too. But honestly, Punk and all that, I won't be surprised to see him. But however, I will say this to you right now. Speaking of that, um, before we get into the match I want to talk to you mostly about, um, I have my pick already for the women. Um, Someone said that Chelsea Green might be Miss Money in the Bank. I think it might be Naomi because it might cause a little bit of an interesting thing when it comes to the bloodline. Maybe that part of it gets involved. I'm not too sure, but I'm hoping for Naomi. But I also said Tiffany Stratton because of her push from NXT and how much she's come in the last couple of months.
I definitely agree with you with Tiffany Stratton. I honestly I can't see anybody else. I heard the same thing about Chelsea Green, and that
Yeah,
would be so interesting and great
yeah,
because of her work she's been doing to actually be able to carry that around and have Piper Nivens.
right.
I personally, I would love, and I'm almost embarrassed to even admit that I want Chelsea Green to win it. But if the lead person for me is definitely Trish, I mean
Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, Tiffany. She
Yeah,
definitely is the one I
absolutely.
see on top.
Yeah. So that being said, Professor, in my eyes, now we get to what might be the main event. Even though I can't really see it being the main event, I don't think it would be. But the six-man tag, the Apex Predator, the 14-time world champion Randy Orton, the prize fighter KO Kevin Owens, and the WWE undisputed champion, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus Bloodline 2.0, or as I like to call it, fake ass Usos and a cosmic cosplay tribal chief. How you doing? You know what I mean? Um, but listen, I'm not gonna say who's gonna win this because I want to bring you back to what happened at the end of SmackDown on Friday night. There was a Bloodline acknowledgement ceremony. Paul Heyman did the unthinkable and did not acknowledge Solo because we all know we acknowledged only one, and that's Roman Reigns. If you could think back, sir, think back to maybe last August. There was a segment when it was Bloodline Civil War at Money in the Bank a year ago with both Usos, Jay and Jimmy, Roman and Solo. They said something along the lines of, I don't want to be tribal chief. I don't want you to be tribal chief. Because I think I have someone else that's a candidate too. And they were talking about Solo. But when Jimmy screwed Jay out of becoming WWE champion at SummerSlam a year ago, Jimmy said, and I quote, I don't want to lose us being the Usos. Because if you won, what would happen if you won? You were going to turn into him. Look at what's happened with Solo. He's a narcissistic SOB who everyone in this company and the WWE Universe can't stand him, wants him to get his ass kicked by Roman. However, they attacked a 58-year-old wise man and Hall of Famer in Paul Heyman. And Herman, there was. I want you to hear me on one thing here. That what I think could set the stage for what might happen on Saturday. Take a listen to this for 1 second. It appears that maybe WWE soon will call the Beast Incarnate to the rescue, as he could be needed in a storyline involving the staple of his former foe Roman Reigns in the Anoa'i Chief's absence because the bloodline has gone insane. The final segment on Friday Night SmackDown no one expected was when Paul Heyman rejected Solo to acknowledge him. he was destroyed in front of a worldwide audience. The Beast Incarnate has spent more than 20 years with the Advocate, and although there have been various Paul Heyman guys in the wrestling industry in the past, no one in the WWE universe has loved the Bond more than Heyman and Lesnar. Even with the potential involvement of CM Punk in the storyline, as seen when SmackDown was in Chicago a week ago, a fantasy booking might be coming together and the fans' voices might be being heard. However, with that being said, the big concern with everybody is everyone saying bring back Lesnar, maybe get Lesnar and CM Punk together potentially. There is a strong chance right now that from this article that I was reading about earlier this morning, Herman, we might actually finally get the return of Brock Lesnar. Hear me out on this too. It's in Canada. Saskatchewan is not that far from Toronto. It's in now where Lesnar lives in this country. Think about this for a second. They say 3-on-3. BS. I don't buy that. I think it'll be 4-on-3 with Jacob Fatu and getting involved. Tell me how interesting this might sound to you. Not Jay. Not Sammy. But Lesnar coming out. Think about this for a second as well. At the end of SummerSlam last year, he was off script in the ending of the match. He hugged Cody Rhodes in the middle of the ring in front of a nation audience and passed the torch to him and said, I endorse this guy. If that love and respect for Cody is actually real and still there, what's stopping Triple H from getting Brock off of his farm and into Toronto to help out Cody, his old OVW brethren, Randy, and KO as well? Think about that. Would it not make sense to have Brock return in this way, knowing what the Bloodline has done to him in the past, and that could set the stage, potentially, for 3 Paul Heyman guys, all faces, to be reunited on one side. Brock, Roman, Punk. But do you think Brock could return on Saturday? Do you think it's favorable?
I definitely think it's favorable. I've heard the rumors also. The only reason, personally, I wouldn't want him to come back is because it takes away from the Roman and the Bloodline and eventually the Rock's storyline. I think everybody's talking about how Solo is arrogant and everything, but I think the Rock is behind the scenes pulling the strings of Solo.
Right.
And I think this is long story booking for them to finally get The Rock versus Roman. And on top of that, the big thing that I love that is so, like you said, there's so many different possibilities that a lot of people wouldn't see coming. Because like you said, can you imagine how that arena would explode if Brock Lesnar music hit? It would just skyrocket. So I definitely could see it. And then that would help move Cody over to him versus Randy at SummerSlam.
That's also something else I thought of too. You know, I don't think Randy would turn heel with this, knowing the history. I think this could be one of the most popular babyface versus babyface championship matches in the history of WWE. I think it could be a big moneymaker. However, I can tell you, everyone misses Brock. Everyone's wondering about Brock. The voices have never been louder, Herman, than when Heyman got powerbombed through that table at the end of SmackDown. That's when you knew it got Brock could have been watching that. What a Triple H in the back of his mind knows that Brock would have to return for this to make sense. Why would you attack the advocate and potentially one of the best friends of the most dangerous, scariest, and most violent human beings in the history of this industry? Why would you even think to provoke the conqueror of the 20 that put the 1 in 21 and 1, the most decorated combat athlete in MMA history, and one of the most dangerous and successful champions in the history of WWE? Why would you even think of provoking him like that? If that's how you get him off that couch or off that farm of his and back into this company, I applaud you. But if he does return at Money in the Bank on Saturday, the landscape will be changed for a while. Because, Herman, let's think about this too, as I'm going to wrap this part up for a second. We know the history between Brock and Rock. He was the one that sent him to Hollywood completely 22 years ago in 2002. Think about that history. Everyone believed it should have been Brock to save Cody at WrestleMania. It shouldn't have been Undertaker or Stone Cold Steve Austin, because Brock makes sense. Brock and Rock, with all that history, think about that. However, with a lot being said, my man, Money in the Bank is going to be a very interesting match. It's going to be a very interesting day. I, however, think that they need to hit the Bloodline home run worse than they need to hit whoever wins Mr. and Mrs. Money in the Bank. I think that Bloodline storyline is more important right now. They have to nail that first. If they nail that and the crowd knows it, I'll tell you right now, if Brock comes out and Brock returns, no one's going to give two craps what happens the rest of the night. Because everyone will have gotten what they've always wanted. Brock is going to defend Heyman. And because I'll tell you, it's not going to be CM Punk. He's not going to come out for this. It has to be Brock. Who else is going to protect? Who else is going to stand up for Heyman? Because everyone's thinking this too. What if Heyman just comes out with like this grin on his face that he's always had at a gorilla? And he just has this look, and then you hear that electric guitar riff that you've been hearing for over 11 years. What if? It could happen, man.
Well,
but however, go on. Yeah.
I was going to say quickly, the only thing that a lot of people have not taken in consideration, that Brock is involved with the lawsuit. And
True.
WWE, and I know they've talked about bagging him and everything. I honestly don't see them taking that chance. If any of that allegation is true, you got to stay away from Brock. He's still out. I wouldn't touch him until this.
Until that suits, yeah. But the biggest thing is, if he doesn't return, who's gonna help?
Oh, definitely.
But however, I know for a fact that Roman will come back at SummerSlam. I think it's going to be Jay or Sammy that would even the fray with this, because they both have been Bloodline members before, and they both have been on that side of Cody, Randy, and Kevin. Going back to War Games, I think that might be the most logical sense if Brock is at. Oh, wait a minute. So to wrap this up, tell me about this comment down here. If Brock returns, he will return as a heel because of the lawsuit? But if he turns heel, he would turn on Cody. That doesn't make sense, does it? Why would he join? Because he's not going to join the Bloodline. Why would he come back as a heel?
Well, and
What do you think?
I think that is right. If they would use him, they do not. Well, it's too much of a touchy situation.
Right.
It's not going to be good either way if he comes back as a face or a heel, because until you can prove that allegation or not prove it, you don't want to touch him.
Right.
WWE is setting herself up for a worse lawsuit than what they're already dealing with.
Sure. So, sir, with that being said, we've now just passed the hour mark. Before I officially take us home, um, once again, thank you so much for this. This was a pleasure to not only have you, but this was my first guest I've had as I've been doing this show now for 13 months. So thank you for being the first one, the one and only, my man. And yes, sir. There you go. Exactly. I was waiting for that. Um, and before I take us out of here, and I do more appreciation for you, could you please tell everybody watching where they can find you and where they can connect with you, please? One more time.
Yes, you can connect and find me on the Wrestling Society Network on Facebook. Um, Please go and download our app. It is on Roku, it's on Apple TV, it's on Fire Stick, and on Amazon. And it is going to be located under WSN. And the best thing about it, it is free. Free. You pay nothing. Go and look at so much content. We also, on top of the content, we have a bunch of independent wrestling organizations. Man, come check us out, please. And next, in a day and a half, our website will be up. So you can check us out there at thewrestlingsociety.com.
Alrighty. And so, there was a teaser at the beginning of the show that maybe False Count Anywhere could be on WSN eventually. But again, we're gonna save this for off air. But to all of you, I'll keep you guys informed on that if I get more information regarding False Count Anywhere, that if this could go farther, where it could be. But folks, Herman Cade is known as Professor Bear from WSN. Sir, thank you so much for not only being here, but I'm sincerely hoping that you will come back again.
Oh, I definitely will. We would definitely make that happen. That's my word.
So, so, folks, with that being said, on next week's broadcast, I am recapping Money in the Bank, and we'll be under 4 weeks away from SummerSlam in Cleveland Browns Stadium, which, by the way, is sold out that fast. Yeah, don't you dare tell me Triple H doesn't know what he's doing. I'm telling you, man, he's kicking ass, and he still is. So, folks, we'll be dissecting that. I'll be breaking that down, and also the Raw after Money in the Bank. I will be giving you that recap and dissecting that for you as well. And we'll go into what could be laying down with the foundation for SummerSlam. So, folks, on behalf of the man behind the scenes, the creator of Rhode Island Broadcasting, Rodrigo, and the one and only Professor Bear Herman Cade of WSN, this is Erik Dunn saying so long and thank you from my home in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. And Herman, once again, the honor was mine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This has been a presentation of False Count Anywhere here on Rhode Island Broadcasting Network. And guys, on behalf of the professor and myself and Ron, we wish you guys a very safe 4th of July, a very happy 4th. Please be safe out there. Please have fun out there. But most importantly, as I said before, be cautious. Because in this world, you never know. Folks, next week, the recap of Money in the Bank, the preview of SummerSlam begins. And who knows? Maybe your boy won't be alone for much longer. Who knows? Guys, until next week, thank you guys so much for watching and for listening.